Viewers, and YouTubers, what's up, y'all? Welcome to my first cozy after-hours show with GA Turks. If it is not late at night where you are, then definitely I want you to wait until it is after midnight because I want you to experience exactly what I experienced when I was a teenager. Now listen, there was a time when we did not have cable. That means no HBO, no Cinemax, no MTV or BET, none of that stuff that you guys we're so used to today, right? Well, when you did get cable, you were the house to go to. If you were a teenager, you wanted to go to these houses that had, if you had a friend or a cousin who had cable, that's the house you wanted to go to. But I spent my summers in a little town called Plain Dealing, right? With my grandparents, sometimes in my auntie. When that little town finally got cable, oh my God, it changed my summers. And I was a teenager. So I had the little brown box with the buttons that you had to press. If you know, you know. And they would always have these little books that would come every month that would let you know what was on the show, what was coming on. And as you know, after a certain time, especially on Friday nights, HBO turned into HBO, and Cinemax turned into Cinemax. So, what I'm gonna bring to you guys is the top 10 movies that turned my teenage years up. All right, guys, I hope you're enjoying your night. Let's start at number 10. At number 10, we're gonna take it easy. We're gonna just kind of go into this thing. We're gonna start with The Blue Lagoon, right? Okay, and it was about some kids who had a shipwreck and they were stuck on the island all by themselves for years. So they had to come of age with each other. And boy, did they come of age. It was the first time I had ever seen any type of, kind of nudity, and it was kind of done well, so it was kind of far off. It wasn't anything over the top. They kept it cool, especially since, they were like teenagers. But there became a point when they had to discover themselves. And that was an eye-opening experience to me because I wanted to know what were they doing. Eventually they got pregnant and all of that. It wasn't until years later that I discovered that they were brother and sister. But this movie creates such an environment, such a tone, because they were just there learning and living by themselves. If you've ever seen Blue Lagoon, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Excellent movie. But it was my number 10 movie, and the fact that they were brothers and sisters, what did Prince say in his song Sisters? Is everything is said to be. Now, moving on. We got to get into these high school dramas, and coming in at number 2 was Grease 2. Now, let me tell you, Grease 2 was my first sex ed class. Songs like Reproduction taught me where the pistol was supposed to go. I'm talking about songs like Do It For Our Country. Oh my God, the euphemisms and the double entendres. Wow. It really turned my head on when I went to school. All right, now coming in at number 8 and number 7, we're going to give it to Porky's 1 and Porky's 2. There were a whole lot of scenes in there that really blew my mind. We're talking about teenagers trying to have sex, for the first time, or having sex, and it had a bunch of really hilarious jokes and scenes that are legendary. One happened in the shower, and if you know, you know. There were a couple of other ones where the coach went to the principal's office to tell on someone because of something that happened in the shower. And that scene, I can only imagine that they did it, without letting the actors know exactly what was going to happen, because the laughter in that scene is so infectious. But it was these were both movies that that I can relate to. It turned my mind into school is not just for a place for education. It's a place for education. All right, coming in at number 7, Zapped, 1983. Now, I went to go see this at the movies, and I was quite entertained. Now, if you can imagine being a horny teenager, but all of a sudden coming into telekinesis. So this character in this movie gain this power, and he was able to do a whole lot of stuff. And basically, he's just a horny X-Man. That's it. He's just a horny teenage X-Man on the loose on a high school premise, and expect the unexpected. That was Zapped, 1983. Now, all right, now coming in at number 5 is 1983's My Tutor. Okay, so now we're getting into a real racy area. Now, you're in school, and imagine if you have to be tutored, but the tutor that you have a crush on her. You like her, and guess what? What happens if she likes you too? Let me tell you, as a young teenager, it really had me looking side-eyed at some of my teachers. Wow. My Tutor, 1983. Now, coming in at number 4, we just gonna rip everything off. We're gonna let it out. We're gonna just let it out. Cause if I had blinders on before, I couldn't have blinders on anymore after witnessing this next movie, Best Little Whorehouse in Texas. Now listen, there's a little connection to this because it's the true story of a chicken ranch in Texas. Now, we used to have in Texas, in Houston, where I am, we had a famous news reporter by the name of Marvin Zindler. Well, this movie is the story of one of his biggest investigations. He eventually got the whorehouse closed. But listen, this movie, it showed a whole lot from the beginning of the movie to the end. But it also housed one of the most famous songs in history for Dolly Parton, which was I Will Always Love You. So it has a special place in my teenage hood, and it also helped to turn up my teenage years. Yeah. Best Little Whorehouse in Texas. All right, this next film, I'm going to be honest, I never really watched this next film in whole, but I knew that it was something that I wanted to see. As I started watching it, I realized that it was a coming of an age story of a young lady, and this young lady happens to be no other than Bo Derek. Now, fellas, if you were born at that time and you were watching movies in the 80s, you know who Bo Derek is. You remember who she is and who she was. Yes, Bo Derek. Now, in this particular movie, let me tell you, Bo Derek is... Okay, let me break the story down to you. So there comes a point in the story where she finds this tall, dark lad that she wants to have her first encounter with. And they get into position and he asks her, are you ready? And then all of a sudden, wham! The music swells up. She starts to catch her breath. She throws her head back. She buck her eyes and she starts pushing him off. And then she starts to apologize. And she says, I'm sorry. And all of a sudden she says...
I'm not a virgin anymore.
And let me tell you, what happens after that does to a young teenage boy's brain what a starburst does to a tongue. That scene is just, it's stuck in my brain. It lives rent free. All right, y'all, that was Valeria, 1984. Definitely turned up my teenagehood. And I never watched the movie, but every time I saw that on Cinemax coming up or HBO, then I definitely tuned into that scene. Okay. Now, coming in at number 2, oh my God, y'all, The Last American Virgin. This is one of my favorite films of the 80s. It came out in 1982, and it is the story of friends who are sexually promiscuous. They're in high school. There's a new girl who comes to town. So they have this story with this new girl. One of the friends liked the girl, but he's a bad boy. And then the other friend likes her, but he's a good, innocent boy. And the things that go on and how that messes up their friendship is a really good story. But along the way, they're doing a bunch of promiscuous stuff. Let me tell you, this movie taught me about crabs, taught me about sleeping with older women. It turned on my infatuations with the Latino race. If you've ever seen it, yeah, if you know, you know. That's all I got to say. This movie was something else. But in all transparency, Not only did it turn up my teenage years because it was a hot movie, and it had a bunch of music. Oh my God, the music was, it was just once, just a whole bunch of music, just a whole bunch of great music. But it was the first film to actually make me cry because the love story that's in it, it was the first movie to kind of break my heart. And I cried. I was a young teenage boy who had never experienced anything. So this emotional ride that they would take you on was amazing. You know, back in the day, we had movies that were just written so well. And one day I wanted to test out, hey, is it me or am I just the reason why I don't like remember these movies today or I'm not affected by these movies? Is it just me because I'm desensitized because maybe I've seen so many movies from a young age? Or is it something else? So I decided to do a test with The Last American Virgin, and I let one of my younger generation cousins watch it, and he said he watched it several times. Not because it was a turn up type of movie, but because it was so good. And it just goes to show that there was something about the writing that's different today. So go and check out The Last American Virgin and let me know if it turns you up, if it's good writing, if it's bad writing, is it nothing? But it's a topic that was really impactful. All right, guys, my last one. The last one came out in 1983. I just bought the 4K edition of this. It looks great. They remastered it. It is a classic. It wasn't really a turn-up type of movie like that, but it did expose something to me that I had no knowledge of before. All right, there's a scene in this movie where they go to some ratchet cousins' houses. They ghetto for white people, I guess, if that's a thing. And one teenage boy asked the other teenage boy, well, have you ever bopped your baloney? Wait a minute. What does that mean? Now, I'm just going to end it here because, I mean, when you let a young teenage boy hear something like that, what do you think is going to go through his mind? Well, anyway, I hope you guys are enjoying your nights. Don't ask me no questions. Let me know if you've had your experiences. What were some of the movies that turned you up during your teenage years? Let me know. I want to hear it. Put it down in the comments. And if you want to see any of these classic movies, you can just go to globalmobiletelevision.com. That's globalmobiletelevision.com. And you can watch all of these movies whenever you want to, on demand. This service helped me to really eliminate all of my other streaming services, so I don't use anything else but this. So check it out and let me know what you think. I'll see you next time in the cozy after hours. All right.